it's Misha. Hey, I wanted to talk a little bit about inositol today because I've had so many questions from people about inositol and how it works, and how it's good for insulin resistance or not. So I just really want to address all of that and help you understand the differences a little bit between inositol and the protocol that I talk about every day so that you can make the best choice for you. Okay. So, and I apologize. Last week we had somebody on YouTube. I wasn't able to get rid of her. I'm working on getting a moderator so we don't have all those crazy comments. But today we want to talk about inositol and insulin resistance and the protocol and insulin resistance and why I'm such a huge advocate for the protocol. So we got to start out by understanding insulin resistance. It's not just gaining weight. Okay. So what insulin resistance is, first of all, I'm going to ask a question. If you've been struggling with insulin resistance and you've heard that inositol might be the answer, you're not alone. A lot of people are turning to it for help and it does work, but is it really the best solution? So today I want to break down what inositol does, what it doesn't do, and why you might be missing a key part of the equation of getting your insulin resistance under control. Okay. So insulin resistance really is the ability to get, or the inability to get energy into your cells. And it goes a little something like this. Your body uses insulin to move sugar from your blood into your cells. And that's where your body can start to use it for energy. So think about when we eat. We're eating stuff and people talk about high carb foods and low carb foods. When we turn food into carbohydrates, food into energy in the system, you really end up with three things. You're going to end up with building blocks. There's some nutrition in there, but then as energy, you're going to get fat for energy, or you're going to get blood sugar for energy. Most of the food we're eating today relies on blood sugar for energy for your cells. Now, when we get this carbohydrate into our system and it starts to spike our blood sugar, insulin goes up, because insulin is like a transport system for that sugar to get it from the bloodstream and into the cells. And every single cell in your body has an insulin receptor on it. Okay, but when you constantly consume too much sugar or simple carbs, your cells start protecting themselves. And they're protecting themselves from taking in too much when they're already sick. It's like they're saying, we're full, no more, I'm done with you. And that forces your pancreas to pump out more insulin, because your body says, number one, your body says, sugar's in the bloodstream. Hey, Amarocha, welcome in. When you're eating and your blood sugar goes up, the body says, oh, there's sugar, there's energy in the bloodstream, and we want some, but we need to get it into the cells or it's going to start damaging our bloodstream, our blood vessels. So the brain cues the pancreas then to put out this hormone, insulin, which is a hormone of transportation and unlocking the key, getting energy into your system. So every time you spike your blood sugar, you're spiking your insulin. Every time you get more than 1 teaspoon of blood sugar or glucose in your bloodstream, you're spiking insulin. Okay. So when your cells start to become resistant to it, then your body goes, uh-oh, there's still blood sugar in there. Maybe we need more insulin. And so it starts to produce excess amounts of insulin, putting a load on your pancreas. And that is because it's trying to force that sugar in your cells. And over time, your body becomes more and more insulin resistant, ending up in prediabetes, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and a number of other issues that link into insulin resistance. But your cells at this point are just not responding properly to insulin. Okay. So some key symptoms of insulin resistance are things like constant hunger, cravings, and energy crashes. Anybody experience that? Because I know I did. And I know that almost everyone that I talk to with insulin resistance is fighting constant hunger, cravings, and energy crashes. But then there's the weight gain. They've always blamed it on excess calories. We need to start understanding that weight gain is a hormonal function where there's too much energy in the system. Yeah, that can relate to calories, but not entirely. or solely, I should say, it relates more to the excess amount of insulin. So if insulin can't get the sugar in the cells, it's going to start putting it in your storage unit. That storage unit is your fat cells. Now you have weight gain. But also what's happening is your brain is starting to cue in the high levels of insulin, your liver to create more of the type of fat called visceral fat, which is highly active in mitochondria that's supposed to be keeping your organs warm and cushioned. But with insulin resistance, you're creating way too much of it. So the belly starts to poke out. You get this fat buildup under the muscle wall of the belly, and it's starting to actually choke off your organs instead of being helpful to them. Then you also get high blood pressure, inflammation, hormonal imbalances. You have difficulty losing weight even without dieting. And then there's a couple of other things that are going on. Maybe you start noticing or you get diagnosed with something like PCOS. Maybe you have some other hormonal dysregulation problem like low testosterone or even erectile dysfunction. Maybe your skin is showing you that you're sick because you have skin tags. You have dark skin patches. You have cystic acne. Those are all signs of insulin resistance. And all of those signs lead into things like liver disease, kidney disease, heart problems, that erectile dysfunction, joint problems, memory problems, and on and on. And so we have to start understanding that insulin, this thing where we cannot get energy into the cells, is at the root of almost all of our diseases and disorders today. So if you've ever felt like no matter what you eat, you're still hungry, or like you crash an hour after a meal or half an hour after a meal, that's insulin resistance, and it's that blood sugar dysregulation. So I want you to think of insulin like a key and the receptor on your cell like the lock. So every time you eat carbohydrates, you're telling the key to go open that lock, open that lock, open that lock, open that lock. Over time, the key gets rusty, the lock gets jammed, and the cell won't open anymore and let energy in. That's insulin resistance. So let me know. Have you ever struggled with stubborn weight that just won't go away, with constant hunger and cravings, with energy dips after you've eaten, or feeling hungry right away after you've eaten? You look down and your belly's full and you know you're full, but you're still hungry? That's insulin resistance. High blood pressure. Anybody suffering with a blood pressure of 130 over 80 or higher, that's insulin resistance, you guys. So those are all signs. Now, we're here to talk about inositol. Hopefully, does everybody understand insulin resistance now a little bit better? And if you don't, let me know. I'll come back to it. But on my lives lately, and in some of the research I've been doing, I've been hearing doctors talk about inositol. I've had people ask me about inositol on my lives. And although I'm going to agree it can actually help you become more insulin sensitive, I want to go over some truths, some myths, and break down some differences between inositol and the protocol that I use for insulin resistance, okay? So inositol helps with improved insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells are starting to become more responsive to insulin again. So they're opening up and they're getting more of the sugar in, right, to the cells. It has been shown to help women with PCOS improve their fertility and lower their blood sugar levels. That's why it's working for women with PCOS. But it's not addressing the root cause. It still is not addressing the root cause. It's often recommended for people struggling with insulin resistance because it supports insulin function. But remember, your insulin became dysfunctional not because you were just producing too much of it, because it has a blood sugar dysregulation problem. So great that we're helping the cells become more sensitive to insulin. But if we didn't have to produce so much insulin because we were protected from those blood sugar spikes, that might just be, and I believe is, a better way to address insulin resistance, diabetes, and all of those things. So inositol does not regulate your sugar absorption, meaning if you keep eating high carbohydrate meals, your blood sugar will still spike, spiking more insulin, and that's why you're taking the inositol. Hurry up, cells, respond to the insulin I'm taking because I'm eating way too much sugar. It doesn't prevent you from having cravings or hunger. It only helps insulin work better. That's a good thing, but not if it's the only thing it's doing. If you're relying on inositol and that's all it's doing is helping you become more insulin sensitive, we have a problem. It does not repair cellular damage from long-term insulin resistance. It still requires you to make a change in your diet. It doesn't help you feel full. It doesn't help you have excess energy. It doesn't help all of those things. It's helping insulin be more accepted by your cells. Good thing, but not a complete solution. Okay. So if inositol helps insulin work better, but it doesn't control blood sugar spikes, what do you think happens if you continue eating the same way and you're just taking inositol? Does anybody want to let me know in the comments? You're still having a blood sugar dysregulation problem, which is why you're creating too much insulin. And then you're just taking inositol for that. So what's really needed to reverse insulin resistance, you guys, is that we have to start regulating blood sugars, okay? And insulin resistance isn't just about bad insulin signaling. It's also about excess sugar in the bloodstream damaging your cells, and those cells shut down insulin receptors to protect themselves. If you force them to take in more glucose, like with inositol, but you don't regulate the sugar intake, you could actually be making the problem worse. So what you actually need to do is reduce your blood sugar spikes, and that stops the overload of sugar and insulin. And it also will lower your cravings and hunger naturally. But how are you going to lower your cravings and hunger naturally? Inositol does not do that. It doesn't have an effect on that. It helps in that lowering your cravings and hunger helps you stay consistent with fasting and healthier eating. So again, inositol is helping you with getting the insulin in, but it's not helping with these other things that are causing the problem that you're having in the first place. And you also need to support gut health and inflammation, because gut health is a major factor in insulin resistance, and inositol is not addressing that at all. Okay. So this is where inositol falls short. It doesn't address these key factors. Okay. It's not reducing a blood sugar spike. It's not lowering your cravings and hunger, and it's not supporting your gut health and inflammation. And those are three key factors in managing your insulin resistance. Okay. So if insulin resistance is a defense mechanism against too much sugar, do you think it makes sense to just force cells in and take in more sugar? Or should we focus on lowering spikes and helping the body naturally recover? So what I mean by that is, when we start getting too much sugar into the cells, we start to experience things like oxidative stress. And your cells are really smart. When they have all of this damage going on inside of the cell, the last thing they want is more energy to feed that dysfunction or oxidation and inflammation in your cell. So your cells are going to start to shut down to insulin receptors, just because it's trying to protect itself and staying as healthy as it can while it's battling this oxidation and inflammation that's built by insulin resistance. So anytime you're taking something that's just making your cells be more receptive to insulin without addressing all the problems that are causing part of why the cells are shutting down, in the long run, you're up for causing more problems. Okay. So your cells aren't broken. They're protecting themselves from damage. When too much sugar enters your bloodstream, your mitochondria or your cell's energy factories get overwhelmed trying to process it. That's what creates that oxidative stress, which is like a toxic buildup of waste inside the cell. Now, to protect themselves from damage, your cells shut down insulin receptors, saying, no more, we're done. You've created enough damage. We're not allowing any more in. Until we can heal this up, you're not getting in. But so if you're forcing more sugar inside by forcing those receptors open, think about that. If your cells are already struggling, making insulin work harder, or they're trying to get insulin to work better, like inositol does, it just forces more sugar in that cell that's being really protective and potentially worsening the oxidative stress, unless you're controlling the blood sugar spikes, the hunger, and the gut microbiome along with it. So the key is not just making insulin work better, it's controlling your sugar intake in the first place. So how you can actually regain insulin sensitivity. I want to check. You guys, I'm trying something new, and I'm supposed to be live on YouTube, but I'm not seeing those comments over here. And so I just want to make sure that we're there. And I know we should be. Okay, so this might not be the platform I use for going live anymore because I want to make sure I'm catching all you guys on TikTok. And I think I'm missing all of your comments and maybe those from Facebook and whatnot too. All right, let's get back to this thing. So I want you to imagine a factory that's already backed up with too many orders. If you force more raw materials into the factory or the cells, like more sugar into the cells, more raw materials into the factory, it won't fix the problem. It just clogs the system. The real solution has to be slow down the incoming supply and then clean up the factory. That's actually how you fix insulin resistance. So most everything else is just masking you getting better, but it's not really fixing the problem. So if your cells are overwhelmed with sugar, does it make sense to force them to take in more? Or should we focus on giving them a break and allowing them some support in them recovering and reducing some of this oxidative stress and inflammation? So the better solution, in my opinion, is the protocol that goes beyond insulin sensitivity. It actually fixes the sugar spikes that cause the insulin resistance in the first place. So big difference, right? Inositol is taking an insulin spike or a sugar spike and saying insulin's not working, let's force those cells open and let them take in more sugar, but it's not addressing the fact that too much sugar is hitting your system all at once, causing the spike in the first place. But the protocol I talk about does. So it's a tea that I have every morning, and it's actually in my big red cup today. So I'd sip on that tea all morning. This is my second tea right now, and it comes in 3 amazing flavors. I just drink that tea. Now, the tea helps you boost your own natural GLP-1 by up to 70%. GLP-1 is that glucagon-like peptide that helps you stay satiated, reduces appetites, reduces cravings, and helps you during fasting to feel fuller longer, so that fasting's not a problem. And those things are how you start to get blood sugar levels down in your system so that you don't have to tell insulin to work harder. You allow insulin to do the job it's supposed to do because you're not inundating the system with sugar. GLP-1 helps you feel satiated. It reduces cravings. It helps you with energy. It helps you with satiety. It's helping your gut feel full, your brain feel full. And this specific tea, increases that GLP-1 naturally in your body by up to 70%. But it's not a GLP-1 like the ones that people are injecting. It's a GLP-1 that your body produces naturally when you give it the support it's supposed to. And part of the reason we're suffering with some of these things is our food system is so broken that our bodies just cannot produce GLP-1 on its own in the amounts that it should, so that we can have the experience of feeling full, that our ghrelin says, ooh, I'm not hungry now. Leptin says, I'm full. And your gut says, hey, I don't need any more. Your brain says, hey, I have enough energy. I don't need any more. And you start to eat less. Inositol is not doing that for you. The system does. But the tea is also supporting insulin function by allowing you to be more insulin sensitive without forcing more glucose into the cells when they're already damaged. And the second part of it, the pre-meal drink, I'm going to have mine here in just a second, slows the glucose absorption. So the tea helps you become more sensitive to insulin. It helps you slow down a sugar spike just a little bit, but it increases your GLP-1, so you're not as hungry and likely to snack. The pre-meal drink then prevents those big blood sugar spikes that damage your cells. It can prevent a blood sugar spike by up to 43% when having it with a high glycemic meal. So that reduction, 43% reduction in blood sugar, means a reduction in insulin spike. Now your body can start to do what it's supposed to. It can act right. Your body can just act right instead of acting up. Okay. So this supports your gut health. Also, it reduces inflammation that worsens insulin resistance. It's feeding your gut microbiome. It's slowing down those sugars from hitting your bloodstream too quickly. And it's helping you clean up your gut. So think of things like IBS, Crohn's, the gastrointestinal disorders. A lot of those are because of too much sugar and an imbalanced gut microbiome. Okay. So I want you to imagine if you were to have cravings that are actually gone and you don't feel like food is controlling you all the time anymore, how much easier would it be for you to stay on track? How much easier would it be for you to follow the eating plan that you know you should follow, to not have all the crappy foods that you know are making you sick? Okay. So Inositol is attractive to people because it is less expensive than the protocol. But if you look at the fact that it's a one source approach, it's not a full approach to insulin resistance, is it really saving you money? It's like buying a bicycle to move all of your stuff from one house across the nation to the other house. You can do it with a lot of effort, and maybe you can't haul everything because you just can't with a bicycle or with a car instead of a truck. That's inositol versus the system. So let's take a look at it. It's on the graphic down below. So, and you have to have the right kind of inositol. It's myo-inositol to get that benefit from it. But with the protocol, again, at first glance, inositol may seem cheaper, but let's go over the features of it. Does it improve? So inositol and the protocol. Does it improve insulin sensitivity? Yes. And yes. Does it boost GLP-1 for satiety and hunger control? Inositol, no. Feel Great System, yes, by up to 70%. Does it slow digestion and reduce your cravings? Inositol, no. Feel Great System, yes, it does. It feeds your gut microbiome, creating a healthier gut microbiome, creating a less inflammation and all of that in your body, supporting your insulin sensitivity through a multi-factor approach. And what about supporting your gut health and your fiber intake? Inositol, no. Feel Great System or the protocol, yes. So we have 7 different fibers, soluble and insoluble, in the system that are specifically there and designed to address insulin resistance. Okay. Does inositol provide a simple daily system? No. You have to do some self-monitoring so you know if you're taking the right dose or not, if you have to increase or decrease your inositol. Okay, so it's constant monitoring. The Feel Great System, yes, it's just 2 simple drinks that you have every day, no matter what. A tea in the morning, a tea at some point later in the day. I help coach you through when all that happens, and a pre-meal drink before your meal with the biggest carbs. And that's it. Okay. So inositol on the offset may seem cheaper. It leaves you struggling with cravings, hunger, sugar spikes, and the protocol actually helps you naturally shift your eating patterns. So I keep trying to say programs because it is a program. So you can finally break free from your insulin resistance long term. So inositol gives you one action. The protocol gives you multiple actions and a wide approach to addressing your insulin resistance, and that's why it works. So would you rather spend $50 a month, or what is that, about $1.50 a day, on something that only partially helps, or invest about $5 a day on something that you just do the same way every day, some mild changes in what you're doing, and know that you're getting blood sugar spikes down, you're getting GLP-1 increased, you're getting that insulin sensitivity, you're having better gut health, all of the things that you actually need, and it does not interfere with medications that you may currently be on. It doesn't have a bunch of side effects, but it's going to help you feel so much better and actually overcome your insulin resistance. So is this making sense to anybody? And are you getting it? The insulin resistance isn't just about insulin control, but it's more about your blood sugar spikes and cravings and gut health. So if you're ready, let me know. I will, and actually I'm going to put a link in where you guys can find information from me on the protocol, and then let's just talk about it. So my day, you guys, instead of me monitoring how my body's working with everything, I get up in the morning, I mix up, and this is how I do it. And here's the thing, it gets confusing for people. I talk to people and they're like, well, this person says this and that person says that. And yes, there's a lot of people who are new who are talking about it. No shade, but just not everybody understands it fully. Like I didn't understand it in the beginning. But here's the thing. We're having 2 tea a day. If you want to have 1 tea in the morning and then wait and drink coffee or drink water during the rest of your fasting period until you start to feel an energy dip or hunger breakthrough, fine. Then have your second one at that time. I have some ADHD and some autism, so my world looks a lot different than everyone else's. And what I found works for me is if I just get up in the morning and I mix up both teas and put it in about 40 ounces of water, and then I just keep this mug with me all day long. And if I get thirsty, if I want to drink, I drink this until it's gone. That way I know I've gotten both of my teas in the day. Again, that's helping me with GLP-1 production. It's helping me with satiety. It's helping me with actually getting my insulin more sensitive. But in a fasted state, it's also helping me with growth hormone production, with ketone production. So I can just make it through a fast really easy, even a 16-8 fast. By the way, I'm going to do a couple of videos today on a 16-8 fast, maybe an OMAD fast, and a 36-hour every other day fast. So you guys can find what works best for you. And the problem is we're all eating too much, and we have to stop eating so much. But the other problem is that we're so hunger driven by the broken food that we have, we just don't feel like we can stop eating. So the system helps with that. But the tea that I love so much also has things like chlorogenic acids, theobromine, mate saponins. And what those things do is, one of the amazing things that chlorogenic acids does is it affects your brain, allows you to get more energy into your brain. And that's super important. If your brain is tired and struggling, that's going to cue more hunger. Your leptin and ghrelin levels are going to be off. Your serotonin and dopamine are going to be off. You're going to probably be putting up more cortisol than you need. And so you're going to be feeling stress and anxiety more. The other components naturally occurring in this tea actually help with all of those things. They help with your wellness, your feelings of well-being, and how happy you are, and how easy it is to make it through your day. But it's helping with the satiety, the leptin, the ghrelin, the serotonin, the dopamine, and how there's a component in it called chlorogenic acids. They can cross the blood-brain barrier, and not everything can, and they start making those changes in your health. So the theobromine in them is the same component that is in high quality dark chocolate. It's that thing that makes you feel awe when you're eating high quality dark chocolate, that just sense of well-being. You still have energy, but you're very calm. There's 3 times the theobromine in this as in the highest quality dark chocolate. Then there's the mate saponins and a number of other triterpenoid saponins that are helping with brain function. There's anti-cancer properties in it, antioxidative properties in it, anti-inflammatory properties in it. And so it's just an overall amazing tea for your health that you just sip on throughout the day. Or like I said, you can choose to drink it at 2 points during the day if that's what works better for you. The cool thing about the system, you guys, is that it's not a strict, like you're so used to. We're all so used to being prescribed medications, being told we have to do this or we have to do that, and you have to take a pill at 8 o'clock in the morning. You have to take another one at 8 o'clock at night. You have to take this pill with medication, or with food. You have to do all that stuff. This is not like that. This is food that's supporting your body. If I wake up at 5 a.m., I make my tea and start drinking it. If I wake up at 8 a.m., I make my tea and start drinking it. If I wake up at 10 a.m., because at 61, I'm starting to give myself a break a little bit, then I just wake up and start drinking my tea when I crawl out of bed and start my day. And then I just make sure that I have 2 of them throughout the day. The second piece is this, and both of them are so simple. The tea you can have hot or cold. You don't have to steep it. You don't have to do any of the crazy things, but you're getting all of those components. Now, the link I dropped for you guys, by the way, is where you can find the tea and the fiber that's the protocol. They're packaged like this so that it fits in a water bottle. Did I not bring my water bottle? I think I missed it. Well, I guess I won't take it right now, but it's so super simple. You just tear the top off, pour it in the water, and that's it. The fiber is the same way. The pre-meal drink, you just tear the top off, pour it in water, drink it down. You're going to notice a blood sugar spike that's lessened by about 43% when you're eating, and that means a lowered insulin spike. So there's that. You guys, I just really wanted to, does anybody else have questions about inositol today? Because I've been getting that question a lot. I will put up short forms of this video later so you can come back to it if you need to. On TikTok, there's a tab called the tea. Go check that out. There's like 13 benefits of the chlorogenic acids. And this tea, by the way, because it's highly purified and highly concentrated, it's 375 times more present than any other yerba mate tea you're going to find out there. 375 times more present. And we standardize our tea for those levels of high theobromine, high mate saponins, high chlorogenic acids. Other products are not standardizing that. You don't know from batch to batch what you're getting. And that's why this is about $5 a day. And people get confused on that. $5 a day is not $5 each product. It's $5 for all three. About $1.76 a packet, less than a soda, less than a Starbucks coffee, less than a candy bar or a bag of chips, but you're building health, satiety, and insulin sensitivity when you do it. Okay, you guys, I will come back tomorrow and we'll talk about something. If anybody wants me to talk about anything in particular, let me know. Otherwise, I will come back tomorrow with something that I find that's interesting that I may want to pass on. If you need me, that link that I put in also gets you to all of my platforms. All of these videos are housed on YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube platform, you'll be able to find all of my live streams at any point. If you want to go back to it and hear what I had to say about something, please do that. I love YouTube. It's been being a great platform for me lately. And you guys, I just really want you guys to get your health back. So we'll see you tomorrow. Have a blessed day.